That's good to know.
Yeah.
With $75,000 in previously
I don't know what that
collected-
was.
I think it's just because it was recording during the meeting in the middle of it. Just quick question on that 75,000. Is that how long ago is that, or how many students does that represent?
But that's not a,
Is that
that's not
because
per
one house
student.
was built 100?
That's
Mhm.
not, so that, it can't be quantified in the actual revenues as they were received. Like they got a weird, not round number per impact fee deposited into their portion of our reserve account. And they've got certain uses, like every other restricted portion of the impact fee fund has, whether it's park and rec, DPW, administration. They can only use it for certain things, and they've just done a certain thing, and they want $75,000 of their previously collected revenues. So we're just expensing that out as a pass through to them. And once they're out of this money, they're well aware that it's not continued on as a revenue source.
So for Brian, I think what he's
Yeah.
asking, a regular impact fee, a total amount was about 2,500 to 3,000. When we redid the impact fee ordinance, I think it went down to, Anna might know the exact number, but
2409.
so this exact, and change, right? So we don't collect school impact fees anymore, but when we did, they just got a portion of that.
And it was
Gotcha.
roughly half.
So we'll likely, unless something changes, we'll never see one of these again.
Unless
You might because
You might.
there's a little bit left over that they'll probably budget in FY 23. They only asked for 75. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, but so no, I think I understand.
We're
No
not
more money will be
collecting for the-
generated, but there
for the
might be more left in the bank they can ask for.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay.
And we left it with them that if they could justify impact fees, then we would start collecting them again, but I'm not sure where they are in that and if they were even studying it yet.
We
Gotcha.
don't,
Okay, that
to be
makes
quite
sense.
honest, we don't know where this money's going or what it's going to be used for. It's on the honor system that it'll be spent.
Now, just most of these warrants are like $1,000, and then you 75.
Well, you wait until we start getting into this town hall, Brian. It'll be 2, 3, 4, 500,000 at a time.
Brian, I
Great.
think it will help you at a meeting near certain. I'll give you a breakout, a reconciliation of FY 21 of every single cost center that's derived from an impact fee sale.
Okay. No, it sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, so we got that warrant. We held the vote, correct? Or not yet?
No, I interrupted.
I thank you very much. Not for interrupting, but for reminding me. So impact fee warrant 6/7/21, $75,000, Maple Run Unified School District. We've had the discussion. Does anybody have any other questions, or would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion
Move
that
we
we
pass
approve
it.
the,
Yeah.
as
ahead.
presented. Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve these warrants as presented.
Perfect. All in
Second.
favor? Thank you, Brian. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect. I just pulled, a couple weeks ago, Anna gave me a balance sheet on the impact fee checking account and had it broken down by cost center. The education portion had at that time $95,786. That can't go up anymore. So they have roughly just under 21,000 expense. And then once that number hits zero, it's zero, and we'll eliminate the reserve in our accounting. The library has, $37,000 on hand. We've been doing a good job of spending it in other accounts because we know that we can only hold on to that money for 7 years max before we must remit it back to the person that paid it. So we've been largely much better the last few years in making sure that that money's constantly turning out and being expended. So our last warrant tonight is the infrastructure, the industrial park warrant. It's $5,982.50. There's 2 Drumac invoices. These are all billed back to the tenants, of course. So my only question before we make a motion in a second and approve this warrant is, do we have a light at the end of the tunnel with the pump situation?
Yes, that's the final bill that's coming through on the pumping that day. One of the pumps are back in the tank, the other one's off for repair. Dave Crawford's been working real hard with crane pumps. They did have some come back from St. Louis that had similar situations. They believe it was a bushing, but they're looking at a bunch of different scenarios. They want to make sure this is correct. And we're working on trying to get something in return, maybe a spare pump or something in return to have on the shelf so we don't run into this situation.
Well, Al, how long were those pumps warranted for? Like, this is all warranty work, but I guess my question is, was there a warranty active that would cover the costs that the town incurred and then essentially the park tenants incurred by the shutdown through the warranty on the pumps? Because at the end of the day, they shouldn't have failed.
Well, for the record, we didn't totally shut down.
Right.
Yes, they are under warranty, but we're working through a few things. But there is a pump that's actively running. Our backup pumps are on standby until the other one gets back. But I don't want to get down in the weeds until Crane and Dave Crawford and myself come to a resolution.
Okay. Yeah, as long as it's equal to or greater than the value of all the money that we and the park tenants had in responding to that, that would be great. And feel free to use these actual numbers as ammunition in those conversations.
I've been keeping a separate file with all the receipts of everything that you see go through the warrant. I forward those on to Dave Crawford, which is the engineer, and he's been working close with the VP of Crane Pumps.
You're on it. Okay, case closed. Would anybody like to make a motion to approve that warrant?
I'll make a motion to approve the warrant as presented.
Second.
Thanks, Jess and Brian. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, hopefully that's the last time we ever do warrants on Zoom, but who knows? We have minutes for Monday, May 17th, 2021, started at 6 p.m., same as this evening. Does anybody have any questions or corrections?
I just had a question for Jen. I noticed you and I emailed, you had a question about the impact fees, but I noticed there was a section that was highlighted around LOT. I felt like the other notes in the rest of the minutes felt like it captured kind of the thoughts around LOT that I said. So I think it's captured, but I just want to check in and see if you still had needed information from me as far as what I might have said in that meeting.
Nope, I went with what you said and made sure that what I had there jived. So the final minutes, when I put them on land record paper, will reflect that.
Okay, great.
Thank you for getting back to me.
Sure. Yep.
Okay, perfect. Oh, anyone like to make a motion in a second?
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the May 17th select board meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Okay, so now we're on to agenda item 5, public comment. Is anyone here to make a public comment?
I am.
Hey, Arthur, go ahead. We do 3 minutes max for public
Well,
comment.
I've got a very short statement to make. My name's Arthur Omardian. I live at 215 Bingham Shore Road. And I thank you for this opportunity to speak tonight. I'm speaking tonight in reference to the traffic that diverted onto Bingham Shore Road while the culvert work was being done on the 20th of May on Georgia Shore. No detour signs were posted on Georgia Shore, resulting in heavy two-way traffic of non-residents and commercial vehicles on Bingham Shore. Bingham Shore is a narrow private road and vehicles were pulling off on the lawns to let oncoming traffic pass. Cars were driving at much higher speeds than the residents do, and this kicked up dust and
Arthur, you're frozen. I don't know if you can hear us.
We're gonna have to give that a second.
I think
my
he's
wife
back.
unfortunately is on a different Zoom call downstairs.
Okay,
Where did I freeze at?
Well, so just to save you a little bit of time, I did forward your letter to the whole select board, so they've seen that letter. You don't necessarily need to
Okay.
read the whole thing.
Well, the bottom line here is, I think two things are appropriate at this point. One, that an apology be written to the residents here. And I also would like to know what the plan is for the town to work with the residents here on future situations. For example, the upcoming paving of Georgia Shore. And if the, I presume it's going to be one-way traffic that's going to be happening. And if that's not right, people may think that they have Bingham Shore as an optional alt route around the paving situation. And that's all I want to say tonight.
well, I guess I'd ask Carrie, and then if Carrie, if you want to ask Alan or explain yourself, if there's a plan to address Arthur's concern related to paving, upcoming paving on Georgia Shore.
I will allow, my assumption, but I want Alan to confirm this, is that yes, we absolutely plan to do the paving and leave one lane open. But I'll let Alan confirm that. And timing of it, I'm not sure of the exact timing of that road.
So the plan right now is the second half of Church Road should be paved tomorrow, and they will be starting on Georgia Shore Road. They do have flaggers, and we do one side of the road at a time. So traffic is able to come and go freely.
And how long does it normally take to do that stretch?
Obviously they're hoping to at least have one half of it done tomorrow, but there is a chance of rain, so they might have to shut down early. They're having to go much slower right now because with the hot temperatures and the temperature of the mix and everything, it takes a long time for the mat to cool. So they are going at a slower speed, so which makes it a shorter pass for cars to get by. But there should be no reason for a car to go down Bingham Shore.
So to mitigate future issues of folks deciding to use private roads, would there be a way that we could buy some type of a large traffic cone and kind of put maybe a vinyl sign on it, or writing that says, this is a private road, trespassing prohibited, or something like that we could place at the end of a private road that we're doing, culvert work or paving on, and just use it reusable so that this doesn't happen in other neighborhoods? Or I guess that's just a suggestion.
I mean, there's always a possibility of doing that sign. It's just that even the police department have told us, well, first, we rarely have this situation. There's very few roads in town where we're replacing a culvert and actually totally have to close the road. And when we do, there's very few instances where people can actually get around that so quickly in a nearby neighborhood. But and two police departments have told us, sadly, people don't listen to signs, and adding more signs would maybe, we hope maybe would prevent some, but I'm not confident it would prevent everyone from doing something naughty. So we can try, but we did have signs up on Georgia Shore Road, but farther away from the site, to try to keep people from getting frustrated about driving all the way down the road, getting to that site and having to turn around.
We had warning signs up for days, if not a week or more, warning that the road would be closed at a certain time on a certain date too. I'm just, I hear what Arthur's saying. I can understand and appreciate the frustration of the homeowners at the Bingham Shore Association. I think time a group of people feel strongly enough to sign onto a letter and send it to you, it's worth considering what we might have done to make that happen. Because nobody's going to send it to us if nothing ever goes wrong, right? So it's what can we do in the future? And if we could do like a 3 foot or 4 foot tall traffic cone that folks who live on a private road could drive around, and then get something with our logo on it that says, it's private road, using it during road maintenance activities is prohibited or something like that. It might be worth the small cost that we would incur. But again, I'm just throwing that out there.
I feel bad for the situation, but unfortunately with today's GPS and everything, I mean, we did have warning signs up for a week and a half. We did have road closed signs back near Mill River. I mean, you could put a cone there, but I've been in situations where you're flagging and try sending someone somewheres and they're like, well, I live there. And I'm not going to question a person if they live on that road, but they could be not telling the truth to me and still go there. So,
well, right. I mean, you can't make up for every bad egg, but
exactly.
Again, that's just what.
Yeah, I think if we put a cone up or a roadblock or something with some kind of signage, even if it reduces it by 50%, that's great. Like I think, Alan, that's a great point. I mean, you're still going to have people who are going to go by it, but if we could do it and the 20 cars turn into 10, that's better.
Does that sound like something we could do? Just to try that if we ever had that happen in our next year's paving schedule, and just be mindful of that and maybe put out a cone or two with some signage.
I thought, I don't know how many private roads are loops. Bingham Shore is one, Wharf Street's another loop. And locals who understand the layout of these roads are probably going to take advantage of their knowledge. But I saw commercial vehicles going through that I've never seen in the neighborhood. And I think people saw a path of least resistance and they said, let's give this a try. And I understand a trailer, a truck pulling a cattle trailer literally got stuck at one of the corners because it couldn't make the corner from the north axis onto the road along Bingham Shore. Bottom line is that, if someone talks to us, I think we could have made some very constructive observations. For example, if the northbound barricade had been set up at the Georgia St. Albans line, people wouldn't have been diverting onto the road because, I came back from the town hall and I literally went up Church to Lake to Bronson and back down Mill River in order to get to my house because the main road had been blocked. There was a trench all the way across the road. There was no way I could go straight.
We're going to do what we can to, make a small purchase that might help mitigate some of this if we ever have another private road. But it's worth noting that you're right. There are only so many loop roads in the town.
Yeah.
We'll take that into account too. And we appreciate you coming and sharing your concerns, and please
I thank you for your time.
And please let everybody know that we take it to heart and we're very serious about improving everything that we do every year, so that we come back better next year. We appreciate all the constructive criticism we can get. Thank you, Arthur.
Okay, I'm going to sign out.
Thank you, sir. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay, so does anybody else have a public comment? Being just staff and board members now. Could have met in town hall, I guess. So, seeing no other public comment, let's move on to agenda item 6. Gary?
Right, sorry. So this one probably should have been moved under to town manager because those things that are above the town manager's report usually require select board approval. Sorry, I guess I was distracted. So what I tried to do was, I'll update anyone who actually watches this meeting. We don't need a master plan update, but want to talk about the things that Corey and some staff have been working on. So as your report, I don't have a lot to add other than what we put in your packets, but there was a really good grant applied for on our behalf for that section of the bike ped path that would go along 104 to Hardak. We were encouraged to put that in, so I hope that goes well. And we closed out a grant for the other, and I know we had called that at one point St. Albans Health Path, but that's the path that would have crossed the St. Albans State Highway or SASH at Bryce Brook. So that was a alternative study of sorts, and so we did close that out. That's what I would call probably shovel ready, so that we can at some point in the future, if we change priorities or find out there's more funding, hopefully this fall we find out there's more bike and ped funding and we can go nuts on that. We're trying to find money to do studies for that right now so that we can have as much shovel ready, because these federal grants are awesome, but they just don't give us much lead time. So it's one thing Corey and I'm going to use this time to make a commercial for budget time, because I think we need to spend a little more money in the next 6 to 12 months on engineering to get these projects shovel ready. That's all I have on that. Do you want to add anything, Corey? We did put a link, but some of those grant applications and the reports are so long, we just put links on there. But if you all want one printed, we'd be happy to do it, and we can do it in color.
Yeah, sorry. You're an echo. Better now?
First time on Zoom, Corey?
No, I have my it shouldn't be an issue with me. Someone else's must be. The other piece with the grant that was closed out, what it originally did was looking for that vehicular access out to SASH from Gricebrook. And we were told effectively that wasn't possible, but the way our scoping study is going to go for the health path is if we are successful, the new engineer or the firm can pick right off of that one, and that could be one of our ways across the SASH as part of the other piece, along the plan. So it plays into that. But that grant went in Thursday of last week, was received by the state, and I think we know by the end of July or August, if we get it at that point, we'll do an RFP, and then it's about a year-long cycle before you have the study in hand.
Mhm.
Any other questions?
So I don't know if you just said it, or maybe I missed it, but when might we hear back on the grant?
End of July or August. I don't have the exact date, but it's midsummer.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So, Carrie, continue on with agenda item 7, if you would.
All right, so it's a little bit of a commercial on, we still are looking for a DRB member, and what worked really well is when we had an alternate on the DRB as well. I've kind of lobbied a few people I've talked to just who've come in recently. It really is a good, well-supported board, so please continue to look for volunteers. We will educate, and with the staff support we have now, they really are obligated to about 2 meetings a month. Unlike the select board, who gets a little bit busier at budget time and maybe for some special projects, the DRB traditionally really does just meet a couple times a month, other than the chair, who has to meet with the zoning administrator. The Northern Vermont Rail Council, I don't know, we still need a board member for that. We didn't have one for a few years, but it was kind of nice having somebody on there. He just became busy this year. He's building a house, the other guy. I didn't know if Dave from somebody on that bike and ped committee that I think you renamed, Jessica, maybe somebody would be willing to do that. I don't think they meet every month even, but it's nice to have that connection. I don't know if you know somebody on there, that would be kind of nice.
Yeah, I'll ask at the next meeting.
And the third item,
Carrie, on that one, on the bike one, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you said they were really looking for someone to just have to serve 1 year, right?
it could be just 1 year. Yeah, the guy who was on it came to us and asked to be on it. So this is a way if somebody just says, yeah, I'd do that, but it's not a lifelong commitment. Unlike the select board, you can never get off.
Yeah. 30 years. No, I thought you said the person who was on it was basically saying he was basically just going to take a year off and he would probably resume, right?
That's correct.
Yep, he did say
I
that.
I talked to like 4 or 5 people about that. I really pushed that part, but I
Oh,
haven't had
thank
any
you.
luck yet.
Also,
That's not as important as the DRB though, so obviously keep pushing a little bit, but, and the last one is the honor wall. I really, I don't want to abandon this for 1 year, but I don't also think we should push it. I mean, we did something like that with, our town report dedication, you know, sometimes it feels right and we've done it, but we don't do it every year. So I guess I was just looking for some direction. Do you want to push this and seek nominations this summer? And we were planning to start meeting again in the fall to get back on schedule so we could provide a recommendation to the select board in January. But we've got a lot going on this fall. I didn't know how strongly you felt about making sure this was done every year, really just looking for some direction.
I personally would be happy to be a select board member. And I think there are so many people like Admiral Warren Ham that aren't on the wall that should be, that we're gonna have a few years of, you know, putting people up that deserve it. And then maybe in 5 to 10 years, when we've gotten through a list of people, there might be a year to take off if we can't really think of a good person. But I don't know. I think if we do the committee right and we're very public about it, and you know, maybe that's one of our first events in our new town hall is inducting the person and having some sort of a ceremony before or after a select board meeting. Even that could be really neat. Again, that's my 2 cents. If anybody feels strongly about it.
And I think it's worth attempting to get folks to, because do we have enough people actually on the honor wall committee? I feel like, wasn't that part of it too? Right.
It was.
Yeah, so I know that we wanted to get representation from different parts of the town, you know, town of St. Albans, you know, structure, and then also committees. So I wonder if doing, I don't know, sometimes our Facebook campaigns get some interest. I mean, I don't know if that would be a way to generate interest and just excitement for it. And maybe that would help if there's members of town staff and members of the boards that would then feel like, okay, well, this is something I want to get on board with now. I don't know. It's worth trying to get more people and to get nominations this summer, I think. And if we can't find people and nominations, then, you know, yeah, you're right. We can't force it. So
who on the select board wanted to serve on that? I will look that up and I'll bring it back to you for the next meeting. I think we still needed like a DRB member. Brendan said yes. Okay.
And were we looking for people from the public as well, correct? For the committee?
I gotta look at that. I know that
Well,
we had a planning commission member that was willing.
Okay.
I think we even had maybe even the fire department. I'm not sure to review the policy.
We did have somebody from the fire department willing to do that. We were just 2 or 3 people short. I just can't remember who those are. All right, we'll
Get on
start to
that.
push it. All right.
Also, under recruitment, we want to congratulate Sarah Had become St. Albans Town's own Sarah Had becoming town manager of Fairfax. Congratulations to Fairfax, first and foremost, for making such a good decision in hiring Sarah. And congratulations to Sarah for her fantastic career move, and look forward to working with her as she leads the Franklin County town. But that means that she will no longer represent the town on Northwest Regional Planning. She's willing, according to Al Vogel, to stay on the Planning Commission. Thankfully, we appreciate that very much and hope that that doesn't change. I know Corey has enjoyed being the Planning Commission staff person and learning from Sarah and being able to pick her brain. That's just invaluable. It's free. You see, we have consulting lines in our budget that we pay people for their opinion, and when you get a professional like Sarah to give you her advice for free, it's amazing. But we're gonna have to find an NRPC board member representing the town, and anybody you know, if you can think of anybody or if anybody's interested that you've spoken with before, please tell them to step forward.
They meet once a month, generally the last Wednesday of every month. And I think when it wasn't COVID, they actually offer pizza and they try to bribe you with food before. All right, so that next item was the town hall update. As my notes indicated, we did finalize the bids for subcontractors, and we anticipate having a groundbreaking scheduled one of the first 2 weeks of July. Right now, we are asking, Corey's working with the governor's office to find out. He said he'd be willing to come for that, so we'd like to have him there for both the groundbreaking of town hall and a ribbon cutting of DPW. We're going to work on that for that beginning, and we're going to have a town hall meeting. Our next one is the 16th. So we should have the complete band together at that time, and people should start seeing progress on the site pretty soon. Is there any questions on the project, the town hall project? The other thing on town hall is, as of today, with the advice and recommendation from our public health officer and public safety officer, Bob Cross, we, excuse me, I think a cat's eating my power cord. That's fun. We opened up town hall. So we have signs on the doors that are now saying, because we can't ask, according to what we have been taught this week, it changes every week. You can't ask someone, but we're asking them to wear a mask if they're not vaccinated. And if they are fully vaccinated, and we know what that means, and defining it by 2 weeks after your last shot or whatever the shot indicates. So anyway, it's a big change for us. We haven't been open since pre-COVID. So hoping for full compliance on that, and maybe an announcement from the governor that all of the restrictions have been lifted by this Friday. We were pleased on the COVID and town hall thing to have the governor at our car show this weekend at one of the vaccination sites. So we hope that that continues. That's all I have on town hall. Hearing nothing, I'm going to assume it's awesome news, and I'm just going to keep going. The last two things under town manager were just notification. So similar to other Act 250 and land use permit filings, you get copied on them if you want the full filing. We actually don't get full paper copies anymore. Those are also sent via a link. And that's all I have for town manager report today.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions for Carrie? All right, so moving on to schedule. We've got Monday, June 21st, first day of summer, and Wednesday, if that works for everybody, July 7th. Aaron, to answer your question in the email I just saw I missed yesterday, we are closed Monday, June 5th, or July 5th, sorry.
Yeah, I saw that right after I sent that email. I'm like, oh, well, I just needed to read a couple emails ahead. So I think I don't know if this is gonna, like, I don't know if we need to change it, but I'm imagining that I'm on the NMC board, and they're probably also going to meet on that Wednesday. They typically meet the first Wednesday of the month. That might impact Corey as well, but I'm going to plan on being at the select board. But I got to give notice that I won't be able to be at the NMC board.
We could also do the following Monday, which would be the 12th. We could do the 12th.
Yeah, we
do the
could.
12th and the 19th. We could just meet back to back.
Mhm.
We'll alleviate that.
12th would be better for me. I might be out of town on the 7th.
Just want to do 7/12 and then do 7/19 the following week.
If that works for folks, that would be fabulous. Thank you.
Yep.
It's nice having two connected folks within our organization on an MC's board. We definitely want to make sure you don't have to miss any meetings. Right.
One other thing on the schedule, Bay Day.
Yes, absolutely. Coming up. Alan, do you need anybody to volunteer? Not to volunteer the whole board, but volunteer at least myself.
You can always use volunteers.
Add me to your list if you would. I'm
All right.
available all day, both days, whatever you need, or all 3 days.
So just to confirm, Bay Day is Saturday, July 3rd. People are starting to ask, and we'll probably need to do some social media on that as well, but getting close.
And just for clarity, like the race, the great race, if it's a real bad day, lightning and stuff like that, the next day, Sunday, is the rain day. As far as fireworks, if this question is hit in town hall, July 3rd is our fireworks. But once again, if it's a lightning storm and it's a rain date, it'll be on Monday, the 5th, because the 4th of July is so booked up that you can't get anyone to shoot them off. So
So does this mean we get 2 years worth of fireworks, Al? Do we get, because we didn't have this last year, so do we get 2 years worth, or are we just like rolling last year's planned fireworks into this year?
we are just rolling through trying to save the money.
That works too. That's great.
But, one thing I would like to say real quick is about the great race. If anybody listens to this meeting or sees the notes, the last day for sign up through Run Sign Up is on the 19th of this month. So that's a cutoff date. It's not like in the past where you could sign up that day or whatever.
If anyone wants to walk or to do the running or the bicycling, I'd be willing to try to row. I want to put that out there.
You might be able to get me to run, Brendan. We'll see.
All right, you want to, okay, so Jonathan, you can do the
Need a
cycling?
bike though. Bike is the hardest thing to find, I think, so.
I've got one, I got a mountain bike in my garage, Jonathan. You want to cycle? Drop
I
it
don't
off
think that's
tomorrow.
what they're using, Brendan.
No answer means yes.
Oh,
Yeah. You know, so, all right. Anybody have anything else to add under schedule? Chair's report. I'm happy to report that Brian's running and Jonathan's cycling, and I'll be in the boat. I'll be in the canoe doing the rowing. That's a cool thing to report. Another cool thing to report was banner weekend for the parks. Banner weekend. And I get hit for using hyperbole too much, but it might have been one of the best ever. 213 cars and motorcycles, a walk-in vaccine clinic, a visit from Governor Scott, and Cohen Park was, a full parking lot Sunday at 2:00 in the afternoon, and it was almost full tonight. And Alan, is it safe to say that those 2 grants we applied for related to paving and structures, that we are going to receive that money? Is that okay to share? Or too early?
I haven't got the agreement, but the state did send me the emails that we are getting both. As far as the structure grant, I've already started putting out the structure to bid. The paving is obviously going to help with this year's, because Church Road and Georgia Shore is class 2, and that's what the grant was for. And yes, the parks are doing good. John and his crew, I got a lot of compliments on how well maintained our parks are. I was actually told over the weekend that they were better maintained than Camp Kilcare, or Kilcare now these days, I'm sorry. So those are good words to hear, and yeah, it was a great show.
Man, I want to amplify what Alan just said. Every post related to the car show, or Cohen Park, or the vaccine clinic had at least one comment. Our parks have never looked so good. Thank you to the town. Great job, town. So John, everything you and you guys are doing, we appreciate it.
Hey,
And
Brendan, do we know how many people were vaccinated?
I do not.
Okay.
We don't have that number.
Okay.
But hope to inch us closer to that 80% rate, hopefully by Friday. Be a big one. Yeah, on to Bay Day as far as the parks go, and the farmers market every Thursday. I've got some honey post this morning. Awesome. So we've got a proclamation of the select board. It's the first one I've ever seen. There's a resolution, or resolution or proclamation.
A resolution, because that's what you guys have typically done in the past.
So we're gonna we have a resolution before us that Corey helped prepare at a moment's notice, no less. to declare Juneteenth a town holiday. And Corey, if you could pick the most appropriate part of the resolution to read into the record, that would be really neat, since you're the one that prepared.
Let me pull it up real quick.
Yes, sir. I like to put him on the spot. It's my favorite thing. Like, ever since he started working for the town, it brings me so much joy. If I could make him say the pledge every time too, I would.
So right here, one, I think probably the most interesting one is the whereas clause, where more than 2 years would pass before the news of the proclamation, Emancipation Proclamation reached Black Americans living in the deepest parts of the Confederacy. On June 19th, 1865, Union Major General Gordon Granger and his regiment arrived in Galveston, Texas, and spread the word that slavery had been abolished. And then that's why June 19th is the date. And Texas, it started getting celebrated informally almost immediately after. And then in 1979, Texas made it a state law or a state holiday. And since then, 47 states and the District of Columbia have officially recognized Juneteenth in some manner, either as an official holiday or through proclamations from their governor.
Anyone would like to make a motion to adopt this resolution, or if you'd like to add anything to the discussion before you make that motion.
It's a very well-written proclamation, and I was very thrilled to see it in our packet. I think it captures, certainly the spirit of Juneteenth and just the fact that we're having another day to celebrate freedom and liberty and human rights in this country and progress. So I'll make a motion to approve make sure I get the resolution for Juneteenth Day.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Thanks, Aaron and Jess. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Juneteenth is officially a town holiday in our jurisdiction. That's really neat that we're able to do that. Also, it's worth, this month is Pride Month. I had a great opportunity to go to Maine with my wife. We bought all kinds of baby stuff. It was awesome. And we were actually traveling through Algonquin, and you see so many pride flags, and it's so awesome to be in a community so accepting and open about how accepting they are. And it made me wonder if it might not be a good idea to raise a pride flag near the Stonehouse for the remainder of the month. And you might think that might be appropriate for us to do. Not that I'm trying to pile on, but I saw so many flags on municipal poles, on businesses, on homes, and it was inspiring, honestly. So we're going to take a piece of that back to our town.
I support that. I mean, anything we can do to make people feel like they belong here and they're welcome here, I think is important. And I would love to see that flag hanging for Pride Month.
I think you might want to, not that I want to create another policy, but you might need to have some parameters on what is acceptable and what isn't acceptable, because once this is public, we will be asked likely to have other flags. And I would just like to have some guidance as to how to administer those requests.
Yeah. Okay.
I support that initiative all the way, but I think it could lead to an awkward conversation.
So how about we agree to treat it on a case-by-case basis until a need arises to create a policy? And if we can get a flag, if we can find one, which there could be a pride flag shortage, we might not be able to get one before the end of June, but if we can, it would be really nice if we could raise it somewhere in the park and maybe even accompany it with a social media post to let the community know what we're up to.
I think if we're raising, I think rather than leaning on the case-by-case basis at this point, I think if we can start, I'd be curious to see what other towns do in our region, if they have flag policies. if there's an opportunity for that, just to see, because I think the question of other flags will probably come up sooner rather than later. It'd be nice to at least start this conversation so that we're not caught flat-footed if there is a request for something that, we don't, it's a harder answer maybe, I guess.
Does
So I feel-
that sound doable, Corey, Carey? Maybe we get some, if you get any time in the next few weeks, we maybe start researching that and try to put a policy in place by the end of the summer.
Did you say in the next few days?
No, in the next few weeks when you have a moment.
Just checking. Usually that's what you followed up with that. And yes, we can work on that because I know it's this month, so. Yep.
I think in the meantime, it would require select board approval for any flags that aren't the regular ones. To
Good call.
Are we good moving forward with that?
Motion.
Okay, we'll do it by action. So if someone
Can we do a motion without it being on the agenda officially?
I don't think we can.
Yeah.
This
No.
issue though, I think, we can.
Are we doing an action on that one flag, or are we doing an action to look into a policy?
Well, we wouldn't take an action to ask staff to look into it, but we are doing that on consensus. We've reached a quorum consensus that we both want to move forward with raising a pride flag if we can get one in time. And also that if any other flag requests come up, that they go before the select board, and that the staff also research what other municipalities in Vermont and around the region are doing related to flag protocol. There's a bunch of.
I think there's a lot. I think there's a lot in there if we're kind of do a motion on just that. I would, if I feel like it might be important to have a policy first, and that's my opinion on it.
So maybe if we're, I could definitely see a point of having that policy first. I think, if we can say on record that there's a conversation about a need for a policy, and that, we're recognizing that we're kind of jumping into the conversation in the middle of Pride Month, and there would have been an opportunity to have that conversation before had we had a policy. Because I think we want to, I think this is coming from a great place, but I think we want to make sure that we're treating all requests and all ideas that come before it in like a similar manner. Which, I think there's also an opportunity if anyone else chooses to raise a flag, that we can encourage that as well. So individually in our community.
True. So we want to look into a policy before raising the flag. Is that the consensus? It's okay to have your opinion. If you disagree with Brian, I only get to vote if I break a tie. So.
No, I think my hesitancy was just I would love to see a flag, but I think I'm just thinking about the potential for like we were saying, awkward conversations and unintentionally down the road, perhaps hurting members of our community if we make different decisions. Right.
Yeah, and I just want to make it clear, I agree with what Aaron just said. I'm not saying if we were going to vote on one particular flag right now, I'd probably vote yes. I just think as the business of the select board in the town, I think it would be prudent to have a policy first. That's all.
Brian, you persuaded me. I think you're right. I really want to raise the flag this month, but I think you're right. And if staff wants to take that back to them, that we all really wanted to do something, but we're not going to until this policy's in place, and read out of that what you will.
I mean, would it be possible to, I'm looking at this, the Juneteenth resolution, something along those lines, encouraging our town residents to raise a flag or something along those lines? I mean, I'm happy to show support. I'm just, there's 1,000 flags out there with different meanings. And I can see if we don't have a policy and folks come in and it's, you voted on that without even, you know what I mean? I just feel like we're trying to avoid a Pandora's box if we can.
No, that's
We're
fair.
still showing the support, I think, because I think that's great. I would vote yes right now if it wasn't as lingering thought about having that policy first, that's all.
I think I also worry that the need to be, like my need to feel like there's a policy is, like, I don't want that to be a barrier to also communicating to our residents that, you know,
Mhm.
that they're welcome. So I'm not sure what the middle road is there. I don't know.
About a
if
half
folks on the-
measure of asking Corey, since he's on our Facebook account doing most of our social media work, to maybe find a resource for LGBTQIA questioning, okay, youth, anything related to youth, mental health, for that community, and then maybe we post that on our social media along with, there's that line that Keisha Ram helped write in our police
I'm
advisory.
gonna just make our logo with their colors, and we change that as for social media for the next remaining 3 weeks.
Yeah, if we can do that, let's do it tonight.
I don't know if I can do it tonight, Brendan. I'm not a great graphic designer, but
Can you have that done by 8 o'clock?
we have a few people on staff who've been graphic designers in the past that can ask the next day to help out with.
There's probably an app for that.
If there is, send it to me. But yes, I'll look into doing it as soon as possible.
Fair enough. All right, so we're getting there. It's nice that these conversations often spring on new initiatives that we haven't even thought about. And one discussion about one flag may involve, end up involving a lot of communities and really inclusive. It is worth noting that we received a communication from a concerned city resident who's tracking incidents of a hate group, an anti-Semitic hate group, posting recruitment flyers in mostly St. Albans City, but also in the Highgate Commons area. There's been also a couple of incidents in the Bay Area. We're monitoring that. We're communicating with Sheriff Langevin. If it gets to the point where we need to have some discussions at the police advisory committee level with the sheriff and the advisory committee members, that's something that can take place. But it's a reminder that, no matter how many steps we take forward, there's always going to be some group of really small but loud group of people trying to hold us back. And, like Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high. That's what we're going to do. We're going to take on as many initiatives as we can to be as inclusive as possible. And we're going to trust our law enforcement partner to make sure that anything done illegal in our town, anything hateful that's done is prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Working to that end. Other than, just again saying thank you to John, Alan, and everybody who organized the car show. And reminding everybody that the farmers market is Thursday night, 4:30 to 7:30, rain or shine. You don't have to hear me talk anymore. So, does anybody have any other business tonight? Right. So we have a contractual reason to enter into executive session. If anybody would like to make that motion to enter into executive session and to invite the town manager, that would be great.
I'll make a motion to move to executive session and invite the town manager.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Alan, John, Anna, Jen, Corey, have a great evening.